In today's video, we are talking about wrist hinge, when you should do it, how much should you have, what even is wrist hinge? Well, in this video, we're going to cover it all using a very handy sensor from HackMotion, which is going to give us some great visuals and feedback of exactly how much you should hinge your wrists and when. Starting off, what is wrist hinge? Well, wrist hinge is essentially the loading of the golf club in the backswing. So if we were to hit a shot with zero wrist hinge, it would look like this. You can make solid contact, but at the end of the day, there isn't much power there. It's very much the same as banging a nail into a piece of wood without actually using your wrist. You can see I'm using a lot of arms, and I'm going to eventually start overcompensating with my body to try and create power. Alternatively, if I just simply use my wrist, moved it up and down, we can create a lot more force. The same applies in the golf swing. So we now know that wrist hinge is important in the backswing. We can show you what that looks like just by simply adding some in. You can see how much more power that golf ball came off just from allowing those wrists to hinge, the back of my right wrist to move in this fashion or extend. But when exactly should you do it? Well, I'm going to be talking about my favorite checkpoint here of what you should be looking for to know that you've hinged your wrist correctly, and that is going to be when your lead arm is level with the ground. We are looking to create somewhat of an L structure between the club shaft and the lead arm. I put two hands on. We'll put ourselves in a great position here to continue our rotation back and hit the ball with some power. If I film my swing, I stop in that lead arm level position in the backswing, and it looks like this, well, I need to increase my hinge. Now, this is where the data comes in handy. I can see the angle of my wrist as I move this around up on the screen in front of me, up on the iPad, using the HackMotion sensor. As I then make a backswing, I can feel and see that that number of my back wrist has increased. Now, as I get into this position here, I've got a lot of angle there that I can then use to create this lag in the downswing and a lot of power through the moment of impact. So being aware of that number and using that to your advantage when you're practicing to connect that to the feel of how much hinge you do. Now, there are variations of when you should hinge your wrists. For example, there are a lot of players on tour who would start their backswing with a zero wrist hinge and then increase it quite late. But by the time they get to this stage of the swing, generally they achieve this same sort of L-shaped structure by lead arm parallel. There are other players, myself included, who tend to want to hinge the wrist a little bit earlier because I feel like it sets my hands well, and then I add that turn in from there. That allows me to create great width and structure. My recommendation is, as you set up to the golf ball, we're going to have a little shift of pressure, which you'll find will happen naturally when you're reacting to the target, but you're going to start your backswing really by concentrating on the back of your right shoulder here, moving towards the target. So what that's going to do is that is going to allow your upper body to rotate, which will then pull your lower body along for the ride for that rotation. If I just happen to have my wrists in a soft state, so oily wrists in a soft state, and I focus on the back of my right shoulder, moving towards the target, you will find, due to the weighting of this golf club, your wrists will begin to hinge. We can see as the back of my right shoulder moves, the number on the screen is going to increase. As I then continue to turn, we're going to get ourselves into a position where we've achieved that nice high number again that we can see, and in video, a beautiful L-shaped structure. Really good stuff, something we can repeat and then put into action and get some power. So, address position. If you are a player who is very stiff through the arms, the neck, the shoulders, their wrists are tense, you are going to feel like you have to manipulate it a lot. So I really want you to have long, relaxed arms with a secure hold on the golf club. This is key. As we set up, golf club in the hands, we're going to pump our arms like this. What this is going to allow us to do is as we turn our back, as we turn the back of the right shoulder towards the target, you'll feel the club wanting to move. It really will. As you do a little example such as this from hip height, and feel a very similar motion, you'll feel that the club actually wants to rotate and turn in your hands, and it's going to get lighter. If I then bend down to the golf ball, you can see, once again, perfect L-shape structure. So feedback is key. Grab yourself a mirror, put yourself on video, get yourself a hack motion sensor, and as you swing back to lead arm parallel, we are looking to create this L-shape structure. That hinge in the backswing, that load there, will ensure that we've got enough built up, stored up energy to hit the golf ball with a lot of power and force and get the ball fizzing off the face. Now, if you are still finding it difficult and you want an extra little added drill that you can use to give you a little bit more feedback and feel, my recommendation is getting an alignment stick, placing it on the underside of the club shaft. Now, what we're going to do from our setup position here is we're going to have that alignment up against the left side of our body. And as we make a backswing, our objective, using that same feel, back of the right shoulder, oily wrists, we're going to move that towards the target. We want to keep this on our body. That is going to encourage our upper body to rotate, our lower body to move. And then as we then get to this next stage of the swing, if we can get that alignment stick starting to move down our leg, we'll see there is a little bit of wrist hinge. And from the down the line view, you're going to see that very typical tour position here, club shaft level with the ground, great structure to then continue the rest of my rotation to the backswing. Once you get to that lead arm level with the ground position, you should be able to see the end of the alignment stick pointing down to the ground. And even if you just visually look back at your arms, it should form somewhat of an L-shaped structure. This is the key. So there's a great couple of ways that you can ensure that you are hinging your wrist enough. You can use an alignment stick. You can use the hack motion sensor. They've just released this brand new version with a whole bunch of updated suite of features that's really going to help build in some feedback and some feel of what it's like to allow your wrists to hinge, when exactly you should do it, but using that checkpoint, most importantly, by lead arm parallel, getting that nice L-shaped structure of your wrist to then come down into the ball and create the most amount of force and energy. So if you're looking to pick up a sensor, we've got you a great discount down in the description below. Very cheap for what it is and gives you some incredible information that you can use to level up your golf swing and get more power and control over your flight. If you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Kerrod Gray. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching this video. YouTube thinks that you would benefit from watching this one next. So click that card and it could be the tip that you need to take your game to the next level. I'll see you next time.